Okay, the second part. Let's look at the development of our 5G standards. Actually, we just mentioned this 5G. If we look at it narrowly, it is a 5th generation mobile communication system. In it, I see mobile and communication, right? There is communication. We know that this is a field of CT. We know compared to the field of information technology, compared to the IT field, what are they? More open, we know in the IT field, we first have products. Then this product has value. This product is very good. The technology used by this product will become the de facto standard. But for our communication field, right? CT field, what do we need to have first? Standards first. After we have the standards, we then go to develop corresponding products. Finally, we can do what? Deployment and business. This is the characteristic of our CT field. So it must have standards first. After having the standards, we can do a series of subsequent actions. So the standard in the CT field is particularly important. Then who defines the 5G standard? We know it is defined by what? The 3GPP Standardization Organization. But we just mentioned another standardization organization called what? ITU, right? International Telecommunication Union. Actually, the relationship between these two organizations, ITU International Telecommunication Union, it defines the requirements and vision of our each generation of mobile communication systems, and a standardization organization like 3GPP, it is responsible for specific what? Technical implementation or technical standards. Of course, we know that there are many members in the 3GPP organization, right? Some of these government research institutions, some research institutions, some government management institutions, and like Huawei, Ericsson, and other equipment vendors. Of course, there will also be some terminal manufacturers, right? Like our Apple or Samsung and so on. So they work together to complete such a technical standard. Then based on this technical standard, the relevant network equipment manufacturers develop products. Finally, it is deployed by the operator. Our 5G is defined by 3GPP. It started from release 15 because the previous ones were all LT, E-technical standards, LT. E-technical standards started from release 8 then to the subsequent release 10s, LTE Advanced, right? LTE-A, and our 12s, LTE Advanced Pro, then and our subsequent 23 and 24 and so on. It has continuous evolution. This is in the 4G era, in the 5G era. We started evolving from R15. Of course, 5G starts from release 15, but it actually includes two parts. Both the brand new 5G technology and a continuous development on the existing LTE technology. So 5G includes a new air interface plus a new core network. At the same time, it will continue to evolve based on LTE Advanced Pro technology. Continue to evolve. So when we say 5G here, actually 5G includes two parts. One is the brand new air interface plus new core network. Because we know the architecture of the mobile communication system, it mainly consists of two parts, right? One is the wireless access network, one is our core network. Then the wireless access network part mainly focuses on our new air interface. The core network will have a new core network architecture. So for this new part of 5G, it is our new air interface, right? New radio plus our new core network, next generation core network, right? Next generation core NGC. Actually, this is the new part of our 5G, right? This is the new part. Similarly, our 5G will also have one. Based on existing LTE Advanced Pros technology evolution, actually, it will evolve the future LTI into eLTE, evolved LTE. Or we can consider it as enhanced LTE plus our evolution of the 4G core network. We call it EPC, right? You can also call it EPC plus. Our existing 4G network can also continue to evolve. We can evolve the wireless test to eLTE core network test can also evolve to EPC plus, but this is what an evolution of the existing 4G network. So actually, our entire 5G consists of these two parts. Of course, what we are mostly discussing is this new part. Actually, our evolution of the existing, maybe in the initial stage, we may not pay particular attention, right? We will pay more attention to new things. So we pay more attention to 5G in the field of new air interface and new core network, this part of the technology. So the overall 5G started from 3GPP's R15. But actually it is divided into these two parts. One is the brand new air interface plus the new core network. One is the continuous evolution based on LTE Advanced Pro, including this is the wireless test for the core network test there will also be a continuous evolution of the 4G core network, EPC. Of course, the standardization of the entire 5G network. The content is quite complex, the content is quite a lot, the technology is also quite complex. So at the beginning of the protocol definition above, it divided the entire 5G protocol definition into two steps. One is to define in R15, it defined part of the technical standards. The remaining technical standards will be defined in R16. So we divide the entire technical standard into two steps implemented separately in R15 and R16. Okay, this is our entire 5G standard. It started from 3GPP's R15 in the 3GPP Standardization Organization. After defining the development and evolution path of 5G R15, we started from 2013 to the middle of 2018. We need to complete the definition of the R15 protocol. Then from 2018 onwards until the end of 2019, we need to complete the definition of the 5G R16 protocol. Of course, this was the original plan, but because we know the competition in the mobile communications field is quite intense, especially the competition in the standard field is even more intense with the American operator Verizon leading. It has teamed up with several operators from Japan and South Korea, mainly KT and SKT, and Japan's NTT Docomo. They formed an organization called OTSA. They want to make their own 5G standard. Of course, the 5G standard they make, we often call it V5G, or we can consider it as Verizon 5G. Then we know that Verizon is one of the very large telecom operators in the United States led by it. Then V5G is mainly based on the existing LTE technology, has been enhanced based on existing LTE technology. They defined a V5G standard. They released their own V5G standard in 2016. Planned to pre-commercialize in 2018, but we will see such a standard of V5G. It is ahead of the 5G standard of 3GPP. This carries a very high risk, right? The future 5G standard will be fragmented by the global unified 5G standard because it was very obvious in the early 3G era. We know that in the 3G era, there are three mobile communication standards for 3G, right? WCDM, A led by Europe, CDMA 2000 led by North America, especially the United States, of course. There is also TDS CDMA promoted by China. At that time, we found that 3G has three communication standards. Actually, for the global industry chain or the global roaming business, there are certain restrictions. So when it comes to 4G and 5G, we have always wanted to make a globally unified mobile communication technology standard. Of course, at this time, if V5G continues to develop, in this case, there will still be two standards for future 5G. In this case, there will be a risk of fragmentation of the industry chain. So 3GPP has accelerated the process of a 5G standard. The original 3GPP R15 is divided into two parts called non-independent networking and independent networking respectively. The standard for non-independent networking will be frozen at the end of 2017. Then you can quickly push out 5G products and services. The standard for independent networking will be in June 2018. Plan to freeze in June 2018, then go out again. Support this kind of independent networking 5G. So in response to OTSA or V5G, the competition of a standard, then 3GPP has accelerated the standardization process. Of course, we said 3GPP divides the entire 5G standardization into two steps. One is R15, one is R16. We also call R15 5G Phase 1. It mainly focuses on eMBB business scenarios. R16 will focus on this kind of URLLC business scenario. Of course, initially considering MMTC later. Considering our stock, NB-IoT and eMTC business and network, the technical standard of MMTC will be postponed, will be defined in R17. In this case, based on R15 and R16, we mainly divide 5G into two steps. 5G Phase 1 and 5G Phase 2, of course, due to the acceleration of the standard, we divide 5G Phase 1 again into Phase 1.1 and Phase 1.2. So in this case, our entire 5G standard progress is divided into R15, R16. Of course, there is our subsequent R17 when initially we only have R15 and R16. We define R15 as this is 5G's Phase 1 R16. This is our 5G's Phase 2, then 5G Phase 1. It mainly focuses on eMBB scenarios. Of course, it also defines some basic URLLC functions in 5G phase 2, that is R16. We will have this enhanced eMBB and complete, or we just write enhanced or complete URLLC. Of course, eMBB will also be in phase 2, that is inside R16. Will continue to evolve and enhance, but limited. We said that it is limited by competition, right? We divided phase 1 into 2 steps to achieve. They are our phase 1.1 and phase 1.2. Phase 1.1 mainly focuses on this non-independent networking. That is, 4G and 5G have to be coupled together. 4G and 5G joint networking. Then SA is our phase 1.2. That is, 5G can independently network, not dependent on 4G. In this case, our NSA can meet the requirements of rapid network construction, okay? This is a progress and division of our 5G standard. Of course, we also mentioned here what is a polar code, right? Polar code was selected 3GPP R15 eMBB short code. Actually, it is our control channel coding. Then the OTC organization has also been gradually marginalized. Then Verizon, KT, SKT including NTT, Docomo. They all turned to support 3GPP's 5G standard. In this case, in the 5G era, we actually achieved for the first time. In this case, we are in the 5G era. In fact, it was realized for the first time. A global unification of mobile communication technology standards. Of course, in fact, during our 4G era, there were 2 different standards. We have TDD, LTE, FDD, LTE. Of course, there are also some other types. For example, Qualcomm also supported one before UMB Ultra Mobile Broadband, but then Qualcomm also gave up UMB, actually starting from 4G gradually to the process of 5G. Everyone wants to make mobile communication technology a globally unified standard. Our phase 1 was in the middle of 2018. We completed R15, a technical standard for phase 1. Then in this way, we can meet some eMBB scenarios, including some basic URLLC applications. The subsequent R16. That is, our 5G phase 2 will further improve URLLC. Of course, it was mentioned early to land MMTC in R16. But later, considering NBRT and eMTC, our MMTC technical standard will be delayed to R17, land in 3GPP's R17. Our overall goal is to achieve a global commercial use of 5G in 2020. 5G's phase 1 NSA standard. That is what we just said. Phase 1.1, it was frozen in December 2017. That is, our non-independent networking standard was frozen in December 2017. At that time, this was at the Standard Freezing Conference in June 2018, our R15's independent networking. That is, phase 1.2 also froze. Of course, in fact, in R15, there is also a version called late drop. Of course, this late drop version, the networking involved is relatively special. In fact, its delay for our entire 5G business deployment. The impact is not particularly large, but sometimes we also call it a phase 1.3. We can write it here. In fact, there will be a phase 1.3 here. It is our late drop networking method. But this networking method, for the initial deployment of 5G, there is not much impact. This is what we see, the evolution of the entire 5G standard, including our subsequent R16 and R17. Then we mentioned before, R16 will continue to enhance eMBB and perfect URLLC. Similarly, we will land the technical standard of eMTC in R17 will be placed in R17 because the early plan was to put it in R16. But considering our existing NB IoT network and eMTC network, so NB IoT network and eMTC network, MMTC here is written wrong. It's our MMTC technical standard will be placed in R17 to land. Okay, let's look at the basic version of R15 and an enhanced version of R16 or a complete competitive version. When we were in R15, we have built our 5G a technical framework for new air interfaces, including such new technologies. This will be unfolded in our second course, that is our network architecture and key technologies, including our new network architecture, uplink and downlink, decoupling to enhance uplink coverage, the split of the base station control centralized unit and distributed unit, including our non-independent networking and independent networking. We have also defined some basic functions of URLLC in R16. We will continue to improve our new air interface capabilities, including we will set some new multi-party technologies to do some technical enhancements for eMBB to do a kind of self-backhaul and so on. Of course, we will also improve industry capabilities, especially facing the vertical industry, a digital capability, including our enhancement in URLLC. Of course, early on, we were considering laying the foundation for MMTC in R16, but later, the MMTC technical standard will be delayed to R17 to be realized in 3GPP's R17. Of course, we will also set this kind of D2D, that is, what is device to device, this communication mode, including this kind of vehicle networking communication, including some unlicensed band, some communication technologies, because for the vertical industry, if the vertical industry want to build a 5G network, they don't have spectrum resources. Then the unlicensed spectrum is very important to them. So future 5G will support this kind of digitalization of vertical industries or to support the digitalization of the industry. So this kind of unlicensed spectrum resources, it is also very important for the industry. This is the progress of our 5G standard, or it can be said to support the digitalization of the industry. Therefore, this unlicensed spectrum resource is also very important for the industry. This is a standard progress for our 5G. This is a standard progress for our 5G.